It's hard to put into words what relapsing polychondritis is. It's just devastating. That's what it is. It's devastating.
I think a lot of patients struggle with what is the cause of their disease.
It's really important for us to get the word out there and show that there is research that is being done and things are being advanced.
As a community, we can do a ton of good by gaining even more support for our research and more support for these initiatives to better diagnose patients, to find better treatments.
Only good things are going to happen from this. It gives us hope.
Hey everyone, welcome to Nashville, Tennessee for the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli. We're here for the Music City Grand Prix. I've got Al Unser joining me in the commentary booth. We've got a fantastic street circuit round the streets of Nashville, and if last year's debut is anything to go by, it should be an absolute corker. They come side-by-side action! Mosak trying to get some lost ground up, but Rafa's already ahead of him, and now it's a three-dimensional two-way. And Mike Ski will come out of the last corner and take the checkered flag here in Nashville. Well, not only are they going to let 40 cars loose on the streets of Nashville, the championship itself is on a knife edge. With 4 rounds to go, 2 drivers leading the championship on the same points. It really couldn't have been better scripted. So, got a Hall of Famer, we're outside the Country Music Hall of Fame, and somebody wants in to the history books in Trans Am. In the Cope corner for Mike Cope Race Cars is Thomas Merrill on 182 points. He made his debut in Trans Am at COTA in 2017 and has accumulated 43 starts, 9 poles, 25 podiums, 13 wins and 1 Western Championship title.
Yeah, we've had great momentum. We had a rough start to the season, but I got a great crew. They've been working hard all season, and now we're seeing the fruit of that labor. And we're just going to keep pushing. We're not going to stay off that accelerator pedal. And if we keep the heat on those guys, I know we're going to keep rolling and scoring good points.
In the Peterson corner for Three Dimensional Services Group is Rafa Matos, also on 182 points. He made his debut in Detroit in 2017 and has 57 starts, 15 poles, 30 podiums, 18 wins and 2 national championship titles.
Well, it feels good to be leading the championship, right? But at this time last year, I had a 35 points lead. So this year is a complete different championship. I feel that Thomas is quite a bit stronger than last year, and we're trying our very best here to get good finishes and hopefully good wins. But, you know, the last few races we had some trouble, and we're hoping to bounce back here in Nashville.
Well, there's no question I've got the right person to ask here, because you went up against your own father for a championship. It's nail-bitingly close, 182 points coming into a street circuit. It's really, really going to be tough.
Yes, this is going to be one heck of a race between these two guys, especially on this street circuit. You've got challenging corners, tight. You can't make any mistakes whatsoever, and the pressure's on because they're tied at the top, and so it's so close that each one of them has to come out being aggressive, fighting, and yet they got to get to the end of the race, and so it's going to be hard.
While they're maybe concentrating on the championship, there's a bunch of others who could sweep it away from them, Connor Mosak being one.
Exactly. There's no pressure in points on him. He's going to just be thinking about one thing, and that's winning the race. He's got 138 points. He's still in the championship, but he's got to go out there and be aggressive and finish in front of those 2 fighters that we're talking about earlier.
You make a good point, and Connor, of course, is one of those youngsters, and there's so many of them in this year's championship, all so hungry. Yes, we've got those heavyweights, but we've also got some young guys all wanting to steal the limelight. Ben Sissel, what are your thoughts?
Well, thank you, gentlemen, but wait, we cannot forget about Brent Cruz, just 14 years old, the youngest to ever win a TA2 race, youngest to ever win pole. Brent Cruz, what's your strategy to make it to the top of the championship?
We're just going to keep on winning and winning and winning. hopefully we can be the first guy to ever win a championship in the Young Guns category and be the youngest to qualify on pole and win a feature event. It's just amazing. This Nitro Motorsports team has worked so hard, and we're just going to have a really fast race car for the rest of the season and do our best.
Lightweighting means reducing mass and consolidating parts. No one tackles these design and tooling challenges better than 3-Dimensional Services. We'll provide flexible tooling solutions, including integrating parts, reducing design complexity, or even design changes. We're the go-to source for rapid manufacturing and low-volume production. Trust 3-Dimensional Services to develop the most efficient approach to meet your lightweighting challenges today. 3-Dimensional Services. Prototype, production, proven.
This is my house. My parents helped build it. Now we don't get wet when it rains. I don't get too hot or too cold inside. I can play with my sister. I can play with my brother. I can play with my mother, my father, my family. This is my house.
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 Visit Habitat.org to find out how you can help more families like mine.
Well, welcome to live pictures from the music city that is Nashville. Puffy clouds in the sky, but we're not worried about that. We did have a worry that there would be some rain in the air, and we did get a few drops yesterday, but really, as you can see, it's pretty much set fair as we're on board with Adrian Lostowski. And we should have all the angles covered and no problems at the front, but I'm glad to say that rain has stayed away for our race day. I'm going to be joined in the booth once again by Al Unser Jr. Anything you've gleaned in your morning? I know you've been looking at the vintage Indy cars.
Yeah, we've been over in the vintage Indy cars and just enjoying the day. It's extremely hot and humid. I saw the clouds there. It was virtually no clouds this morning. All of these clouds that we see now have just popped up out of nowhere. So hopefully we've got looking like a dry start, and we're going to go racing. It's going to be great.
Yeah, and as we've said before, this is the second iteration of this event. They've made a few changes to the track. We'll talk about that as we get round and see the track a little bit more. And like I said, we've got plenty of angles covered by being with the onboards like this one, the Franklin Road of Ken Thwaites. This, of course, his home event, and Franklin Road Apparel just down the road, quite literally here in Nashville, Tennessee. So a big event and a big moment for Ken Thwaites, who's actually swapping his TA seat for a TA2 seat, and he'll be joined, of course, by Carl Rydquist, and looking forward to seeing how he gets on. Didn't qualify as well as he'd liked, but he'll be there for sure. So we'll be listening to Al Unser Jr. throughout the day as we bring you the Nashville event. 4 events to go here in the 2022 season. Last year's race was won by Mike Skeen, and as you heard there, Thomas Merrill, very, very tuned in at the moment. He was on the podium, as was Connor Mosack this time last year. The Mike Skeen winning the race, but not in this race this year. This is one of the corners they've tightened up. You see that hospitality just in the background there. That has been moved forward or actually placed there. And that's now 50 feet. That's turn 9, which was one of the main overtaking positions for the Trans Am cars. But now it's a lot more narrow and less of a sweep and more of a much more critical straight line corner. And it is one of the critical corners because it really does test the drivers coming off the bridge there over the Cumberland Ridge. One of the only racers in the world actually to go over a large depth of water. They've also got a motocross, or excuse me, a watercross championship going on the Cumberland River right now.
They do. I was just having lunch with one of the competitors out there, and he was talking about it, and it was cool.
I don't think there's going to be any rain, is there? I mean, there might be some later in the day because it's starting to form, but I think we're okay, really.
Yeah, I think we're going to be fine.
So we'll be on board with Cameron Lawrence. Cameron Lawrence, another one of the Franklin Road Apparel sort of stable, if you will. Don't count him out. He's a former champion. He just hasn't had the luck of late, and he's starting to finding his form. And I think he could definitely be somebody, well, we mentioned it, a bit of a spoiler. We said at the top, all eyes obviously on the 2 heavyweights, but there's several guys who are all capable and hungry for a good result. And with 4 rounds to go, plenty of time to sort something out. So, precious moments as they sit here. This is the worst time, Al, for a racing driver because you're just sitting there getting hot, aren't you?
You are. You're just sitting there getting hot. So, but you really don't care about that. You don't really even notice it because all you're doing right now is you're thinking about the start, thinking about getting going and what everybody's going to do. You try to predict what they're going to do around you at the drop of the green, and that's as far as you can think, because once you enter that first corner, it's totally different than what you were planning on 9 times out of 10.
Yeah,
So.
Tyler Casera's an interesting one in the Liqui Moly 77. He's one to watch because he has not, he's not done anything too spectacular, but he's in the hunt. And this could be a big day for him too, as it will be for Adrian Lostowska. They all love racing here. It's a real challenge, this street circuit like this, no question about it. So they wait. So as we wait, just as you are, we'll take a short break. We'll be back with the action from Nashville very soon.
Lightweighting means reducing mass and consolidating parts. No one tackles these design and tooling challenges better than three-dimensional
Absolutely, yeah, and I can hear them loud and clear.
We'll provide flexible tooling solutions, including integrating parts, reducing design complexity, or even design changes. We're the go-to source for rapid manufacturing and low-volume production. Trust three-dimensional services to develop the most efficient approach to meet your lightweighting challenges today. Three-dimensional services. Prototype, production, proven.
This is my house. My parents helped build it. Now we don't get wet when it rains. I don't get too hot or too cold inside. I can play with my sister. I can play with my brother. I can play with my mother, my father, my family. This is my house.
This is my house. This is my house. This is my house.
This is my house.
Visit Habitat.org to find out how you can help more families like mine.
A force of nature? Man, that's good one.
And your husband was here racing with us last year. Is he here again this year?
Yes, he's here, but as a spectator today.
Nice.
Yeah.
And give us your first impressions of the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here because it's like my two worlds collide. The racing and then the music, it just can't get better.
Well, nice. I hate to put you on the spot, but Denise, Stephanie, will you hold both mics and give us the national anthem? Actually, I'll hold this one if you'll hold this one.
Sure. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and home of the brave.
Wow, how about that? Music City. Give it up for Denise Stephanie. Beautiful, Denise. Unbelievable. Now we're going to come over here because we've got a very special guest, and I would say the other person that made this possible. Sandy Borchetta, Scott Borchetta's wife, is going to be by the car representing Race for RP, but also an executive at Big Machine. What does this mean to you to bring an event here that kind of everything that you do at Big Machine in one place? How does that feel?
Oh gosh, it feels amazing to see all of these smiling faces out here, happy as can be, enjoying racing, and a full weekend of excitement.
And I know you're a huge racing fan, but especially a Scott Borchetta fan. This is his best qualifying ever. How excited are you, and how excited was he?
Oh, we're all excited. The whole team has worked really hard, so they're very, very excited, and I'm so proud of him, so proud of this day, and all the drivers today.
Nice. So Nashville, Music City, the Big Machine, Music City Grand Prix. Are you guys ready to hear some noise here? 500 horsepower monsters to deliver the most famous words in motorsports. I'm so excited. Sandy Borchetta.
Welcome once again to the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Drivers, start your engines.
No, it's not the best, but...
And with that, we are underway. I got little Al alongside me, and he's as excited as I am. He's been looking at some of the Indy cars, of course, in action, as well as the vintage Indy cars. We've also got Indy Lights as well as IndyCar this weekend. SRO are here with GT America. We've got stadium trucks. It's a big, big festival. Tim McGraw is playing. There's fireworks. There's watercross. It's all happening. But Trans Am is the belle of the ball right this moment, and they put on a great show this time last year. And Al, you watch closely how these guys came about it. And I'm just going to get your thoughts. I'm going to take a short break, but I want you to give me your thoughts on what you learned last time from watching these guys and how this is a completely different setting. We'll be right back after this, and we'll be fired up and hopefully on the warm-up lap. Stay with us.
A force of nature? Man, that's good water. I feel like Chuck Norris. Seaforce water is a force of nature. What can it do for you?
Welcome back to Nashville, Tennessee. We're in the shadows of the Nissan Stadium, just to the left there, and to the background, of course, the home of the Titans. But it's the Titans of Trans Am, been going since 1966, that take the track for the first time on this unique street circuit, which heads over the Cumberland River, over the Korean War Veterans Bridge. But they then come back over it as well, and that is the longest straight, Al. I never thought in your motor racing career you'd witness a bridge being the only straight.
I never thought of it at all. That's what makes Nashville so super special here. And you asked me about that question. The differences. Mid-Ohio was my first time joining you in the booth here, and the differences simply are on the street circuit. You see the walls are lining up the edges. When they come off the corners and they go out, on the permanent road course, they've got a little lee room there. They can go over rumble strips, maybe run over some grass or what have you. However, here, they bend their suspension if they're not precise because they hit the walls.
Yeah, as you notice there, Ricky Sanders in the 19 getting stuck. Let's hope they get him going. But I guess my other question is mentality, because we've got 4 rounds. We've already set up the 2 heavyweights, and there's also the young guns. Anybody could win. Any of the top 5 could win the championship. But it's days like this that make and break a championship, because this is where it's tough. We're going to VIR, plenty of room there. We're going to Watkins Glen, a well-established, the home of American motorsport. COTA, good racetrack, good Formula One circuit, lots of runoff there. This, there is no margin. Do you, the night before a race like this, like Long Beach, and somewhere here like Nashville, actually, change your mindset a little bit? Let me go through the grid. I'm going to get your answer to that. I'll give you time to think about it. Thomas Merrill in pole with 1:30.6, much quicker than last year's pole. Then Brent Cruz, the youngster, who's just won at Road America alongside him. Borchetta, what a qualifying for the man who's sponsoring the event. Brilliant stuff by him. He's 3rd on the grid alongside Podium from last year, Connor Mosak in 4th. Then it's Zilic, Casera, Matos, the champion, is in 7th. Guy Cosmo coming in for Mike Skeen, last year's winner here at the event. He's in 8th position. Adam Andretti, also with that 3-dimensional services group, is in 9th. Cameron Lawrence is 10th. Goikberg and Barco 11th and 12th. Lostowski and Noacre in 14th position. Tommy Sheehan starts in 15th position for LTK Insulation, and alongside him, William Solowich. Then Evan Slater had a crash in practice and has hurt his wrist, but he hasn't broken it. He'll be out there. Carl Reichwitz looking good, a West Coast prominent driver, but now here for this very special race. Doesn't know how many more he'll do. Doug Peterson, Elias Anderson, Birdress and Mock, 21st and 22nd. Race Liberanti, just a 27-year-old debut, knows his karting, is a very well-established karter and midget racer, but coming into Trans Am for the first time for the Armada Analytics team, and that is a really interesting run. Spoke to him yesterday. Barry Bowes got together with Matos on Friday, but he's out there. Evan Peacourt, 25th. Michelle Abate, our lone female racer, she lines up for Ghost Energy in 26th. Tai Yun, 27th. Gallagher, 28th. Ricky Sanders, who we saw stuck there, but hopefully will get going. Ken Thwaites, the local man, in 30th position. Bruce Raymond and Maurice Hull in 32nd place for the Silver Hair Racing team. Dylan Archer, not where he needs to be. He needs to come through. Jim Gallagher is 34th, and it's Austin, Winston, Lowry, William Moore, Leesville, Chris Leesville coming in, and Chad Christian did not take part in the qualifying session. He will not start the race, though he did practice, but will not take the start line. Well, here's our first real view of this track, and as you can see, it is uphill and down dale, and as they say here, it's as twisty as a dog's hind leg around some of the parts here, but this is the only straight bit. But even so, it's bumpy, and off and on these ramps on the usual road, it's really tough.
Yes, it is. I mean, you could see the cars it is bumpy, but once they get up to speed, it's not so bad. Okay, so, but the long straights are everything. That's super good.
Away we go then, and away off the bridge they come. And this is all the dive now into the first spot, and Connor Mosak makes a big heavy move at 9, and carnage almost as they bump their way through. Scott Borchetta holds on to 3rd place. We're on board with him. But that was a really aggressive start there. And Borchetta certainly in the thick of it. But out front, Brent Cruz by the looks of things. Scott Borchetta holds his position. Looks as though Connor Mosak was the man making the big moves. We're on board with Rafa Matos, and it's a double-edged sword out for Rafa. He's leading the championship, but he doesn't want to finish this race with a DNF, does he?
Not at all. He wants to get to the end of this thing, so these opening laps right now, especially where he's at, he needs to be super careful. He's watching everything in front of him and behind him to where he doesn't get taken out.
Puncher for Barry Bowes. He was in the wars yesterday, and it looks as though the same is happening again. First time over the bridge they come. We're on board with Guy Cosmo. Guy Cosmo taking the seat of Mike Skeen, who won this race last year, and this is our first real view. There is Barry Bowes definitely coming into the pits, and that could be game over already in the early stages. So, 1 of 46 laps, a long way to go, and we expected quite a few incidents this time last year, but there wasn't. And that was a big incident at the start there. I wonder if the stewards will have a look at that. Was that too aggressive into that funnel, if you will?
Tell you what, he charged that car right on in there, so there could be some penalties being established here.
Well, we're on board with Adrian Lostowski as he goes over the Cumberland River. Over 45 miles, 49 from 150. Oh, wow, he's hit 150. So it just shows you how fast they are. And they've narrowed this corner now. It's just 50 feet across. And so no swinging into turn 9. Now it's quite a precise corner. And the opportunity to overtake is a muscle move. And that's what we saw there from Connor Mosack. Back on board with Borchetta. I've got to give my hat off to Scott Borchetta. Al, as somebody who was born into it, especially, oh no, Misha Goikberg. And that's Sheerhand crashing together. And that is definitely a contact between the pair of them. Who caused it, I couldn't tell you until we see a replay. But Sheerhand out in the 97. The Iron Man, well, he just got some metal across his bows too from the Canadian Misha Goikberg, but that surely will bring out a safety car, and also another Cope race car out. That's the 51. So it's drama indeed right at the start of this one. And sure enough, the yellow flags are flying. That's Darren Mock, who is stuck in the wall.
And this is what the street fighting's all about. It's right at the beginning of the race, and we're already seeing some knockout moves here.
Yeah, and looking at that, broken suspension at the rear, the bodywork not a problem, but puncture on the front, that car's going nowhere.
Correct. Yep. He's dead in the water, as we say.
Dead in the water, as they say. On board with Dylan Archer, the young Texan, got a new sponsor, sponsored by Rambo Electric Bikes. Excited for him this weekend. And here's what I was talking about, how tight it is, tighter than a dog's hind leg. But I mean, really, this section, some of the drivers who've driven lots of circuits around the world, like Romain Grosjean, compared it to Baku in Formula One. It's that tight section up by the castle, which would be the equivalent here in Nashville. And then it opens up for these long bridge straights.
Yep, that's one of the key areas on this track, is getting through that whole segment from the time you cross the bridge till the time you come back across the bridge. That whole section there, you got to get through it. There's the
wow,
20,
that's unlucky for Tommy Sheerhand because, Misha Goikberg had his own. Oh, so Mock came out. I wonder if there's something down there because they all seem to slip slide wide. But I feel for Sheerhand there, who really had nowhere to go. And that's the trouble with a street race, isn't it?
Yeah, and what I saw, you missed the beginning of that. The 20 car got on the throttle a little too hard coming off and just lost the back end, and then that's what put her into the wall.
Yep. Well, we're under caution here, and it's going to take some time. And Al, let's take you through how we work this, because what I enjoy when I'm talking to you is the insight, the driver's insight into how it all works. Because in some ways, if you didn't get the start you wanted, you've got a bit of a reprise now, and you've got a time to take a breath, to think about the setup, and to talk to your engineer. What if it's not 100%? Let's say you're in 6th, 7th place, and you're kind of rethinking your strategy now you've got started, and maybe the car doesn't feel 100%. What kinds of things can you do from cockpit to engineer to kind of make your race as good as it can be?
Well, actually, they've made some overnight changes, I'm sure, or changes from what they felt in qualifying. So now they have a race car that they need to adapt to. They need to adapt to the changes that they made, and I'm sure that they're the driver's relaying that information to his engineer, and they're having a discussion on how can I change my driving to get the most out of the car.
All right, as we get ready to try to restart this one, we're getting news from the pits. Ben Sissel, our man down there, has got Scott Legacy Jr.
Yeah, thanks, Jonathan. I've got Scott Legacy Jr. here. I just saw him walk up to Ricky Brooks heated. You're leading the race. What's going on?
I'm not heated. I just needed to ask a question. We weren't exactly clear on the restart here. Just wanted to make sure I could relay exactly what was going on. No, I'm in a pretty happy mood right now. We've got Connor doing a heck of a job, obviously, and then Scott Borchetta, man, to qualify like that and running third right now, it's cool. Williams on his way to the front, and Chris is doing the same thing. So I'm a happy camper.
Nice. And, gentlemen, let me clarify that. We changed the start procedure here. So you are not allowed to cross the start-finish line, or you're not allowed to pass until you cross the start-finish line. That's a different procedure for TA2, so we're going to see what happens. But you've got to be happy with Connor's performance so far.
Yeah, he's done a great job all weekend. That, qualifying, he had the pole, then they had to take it because the black flag came out, and it was what it was. So let's see what happens here. We'll rebound. But I applaud the series for what they're doing, their growth, and trying to make this thing the best series in the country, and it's a hell of a lot of fun to be a part of.
Nice. I love it. Scott Lagasse Jr. got 2 cars in the top 3. Gentlemen, back to you.
Yeah, that's sitting pretty. Scott Lagasse, of course, a pretty good peddler himself, and he has basically taken the helmet off to help some of these youngsters through. And he's the perfect guy. I mean, you know this. You're doing it yourself right now with some of the F4 drivers. To have somebody who's been there, done that, and had that calm to explain what is going on is really, really important. Listen, while we've got some waiting time, let's take a commercial break. We'll be back. We're not missing anything, and we'll be back with Al Unser Jr. and myself, Jonathan Green, right after this.
It's hard to put into words what relapsing polychondritis is. It's just devastating. That's what it is. It's devastating.
I think a lot of patients struggle with what is the cause of their disease.
It's really important for us to get the word out there and show that there is research that is being done and things are being advanced.
As a community, we can do a ton of good by gaining even more support for our research and more support for these initiatives to better diagnose patients, to find better treatments.
Only good things are going to happen from this. It gives us hope.
Welcome back to Trans Am's Championship presented by Pirelli. We're at the Big Machine Vodka Spike Cooler Challenge. Presented by Race for RP, and we are under caution at the moment because quite a lot of damage to several cars, including Darren Mock in the number 51. Misha Goikberg also with some damage to the rear of his car, and we've seen Tommy Sheehan with a broken rear axle. But let's head down to Ben Sissel. He will have the latest for us, and I can see him right there. He's ready to go. Down to you, Ben.
Well, I tell you what, Darren Mock just came in that number 51 car with Cope Racing, and it looks like they're trying to put a ratchet strap on. A lot of rear end damage. I don't know if he was hit or if he backed into a wall, but a lot of damage. I've never seen this. I've seen racers tape. I've never seen a ratchet strap being used to hold the rear body in. I'm not sure what that's going to do to that rear wing and the whole structure. I know that our timing and scoring and that our safety crews are going to be watching this crazy. You can see that the ratchet strap hasn't been completely latched into a lock position. But I think the real story right now, other than this going on, is the heat. We did a 20-minute qualifying today, and I watched 15, 16-year-old drivers get out of their cars in this heat. Worse than they do full-on hour-and-a-half races with us in TA2. It is really hot. The Doug Peterson group, three-dimensional services group, put a laser thermometer on the ground, and our track temperature on this asphalt was 127. 127 with these Pirelli P0s. Then talking to the tire engineers, there's 7 different surfaces here at the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. We got a shot here of Misha Goikberg coming by with some left rear end damage. Now, I would say that he's been backed into right now. And then from a strategy, the heat. You look up top, there's some thunderclouds coming. There's a lot going on. Al Unser Jr., I know that you're the strategist for Future Star Racing. What would you be telling your drivers right now, Al?
I'd absolutely be telling them to drive the race as it is right now. Don't worry about any clouds. Don't do anything. Don't be thinking about anything but what's right in front of you right now and getting a good, clean start and trying to pass some people.
As we go on board with Rafa Matos, and he, of course, representing the three-dimensional services group. Big day for him, the championship leader. Heard from him ourselves. And, of course, championships. He's got 2. He's got 182 points, 2 race wins, as has Thomas Merrill. But as of late, at the start of the championship, Matos was the man to watch. In the last few races, Merrill has really creeped up, and it again showed in qualifying yesterday when Merrill topped the times and Matos and the rest of the three-dimensional boys could only get just into the top 10. You see 3 of them there. There are 4 in total. But sometimes there's safety in numbers. They could work together.
They could, in fact, work together, and that's what it's all about, having a team this large. How I look at it is you steal points from the competitors by them running together like that. It means their competitors aren't running those positions and getting those points. So they just go out there and race their race and do the best they can.
Good friend of yours, Adam Andretti. We had both of you in the booth at VIR last year, but Adam really, really strong here last year before a mechanical issue, tiny like a 10-cent piece, fell off the car and it ruined his day, but he was up there at the sharp end. And Adam's had a sort of up and down season all year. He'd really like to get a result out of today.
Oh, for sure. He'd love it. And Adam is a good friend of mine. He's a great human being. As a matter of fact, over at my shop, we've been talking back and forth because he's neighbors of ours at our shop in Brownsburg, so it's all good.
Yeah, wishing him a good weekend because last year was going so well and it all went horrible for him. And the story of last year was Matos coming from the back and actually getting some decent points, and it pretty much saved his season in many ways. So if you're careful, if you stay out of trouble in a street race, you can turn things around. But of course, there's always the threat of something like this. Sheehan was really just a bystander in that crash. He had nowhere to go and went straight into the back of Misha Goikerberg. Goikerberg, on the other hand, has managed to strap it up and get back going. But we saw Darren Mock's car being strapped together. You smiled and said, no way. But there is some thought that might work for them.
It could work, I mean, I've never seen it before as yourself, and so we'll see what happens.
Well, this street circuit has had a few modifications. I mentioned the one at turn 9. They've also made a slight modification on turn 11, opened that up a little bit because that was a sort of bottleneck as well. There's more hospitality, there's more interest in. And obviously all eyes will be on Thomas Merrill because it's a massive day, and just as it is for Rafa Matos, Merrill will want to go well. Let's head down again to Ben Sissel. He's got Thomas Merrill's crew chief.
Say that. Hey, I'm with Mr. Cope here. He's talking to Thomas Merrill in the number 26. He started out in the lead, and quickly by the second turn, it looked like from my vantage point, he had lost it. Is he saying anything to you on the radio?
Yeah, basically he just didn't know where the 28 came from. Dropped back to fourth. We're just going to try to pick him off one at a time. At the end of the day, I don't know where the 28 came from either, so I think it might have to be reviewed, but we'll see how the race plays out.
He's saying he didn't know where the 2.8 Connor Mosak came from, but that what I call turn 1 is really wide. It was even wider last year, but there's about 3 or 4 good lines to come in there, so maybe Connor Mosak just took a squirrely line and got the lead, and that's what you have to do in such a tight racetrack that we talked about earlier with Thomas. Pole position is so important. As we watch Darren Mock coming back into his pit box right here, Darren Mock from the Mock family, long-time NASCAR tradition. Looks like he's just having bad luck out there. We went around the track earlier this week in golf carts. He was pointing out all the little idiosyncrasies of this track. His dad comes from circle track NASCAR racing. He loves road racing, but not having a good day today in this heat. Gentlemen, back to you.
Well, the good thing is here in Nashville, there's plenty of country bars he can go to and drown his sorrows after a bad day at the office, but that's the beauty of Nashville, the Music City. And I'll tell you what, we were out and about last night, me and Al Jr., and what an atmosphere. Friday night, and it was, 6 o'clock, and it was already going off.
This town's incredible for all of that kind of stuff. So it's a beautiful place to have a race, and you can see the success of it. It's in its second year now. They've added more suites, added more grandstands. They're just, it's becoming one of those places that is going to be a stop on all the circuits that they want to be part of this Nashville race.
Yeah, and Scott Borchetta, while this is his home event in many ways, he also has been very much a part of what Indy are doing and has put events on and sponsored events. He's also involved in NASCAR. He's got a team in NASCAR and a driver in NASCAR. So, you know, he's heavily invested in motor racing, not just for himself, but also for the sport. Barry Bowes has got going in the ASIO Data car that we're on board with now. So Barry Bowes also having a problem right at the beginning. I think that was a puncture that we saw, but he's back out and going again, and maybe this caution has helped him. But we should be clearing away. But this is a long time at slow speeds, and this is not what racing cars or racing drivers like. Both get hot.
That's very true. And so it looks like they've got the car on the record now. It's not going to be long before we're back to racing.
No, and that's the problem with the street circuit, is it's all very well to get a safety car out there, but then you've got to get it off and out of the way, clear up the debris. They're right by the La Quinta Hotel there, and I know where they're going to try and sort of gauge it out to, but you can't just wander around the track, so it's really hard. You've got 40 cars out there, well, now probably about 37, but they're doing their laps. The race is still underway, but under caution, and so, yeah, these are tough times for the marshals, tough times for the guys who are clearing the debris away. And as we come over the bridge and we get to see this circuit at slow speed, which is quite nice actually, coming into 4 and 5. This is the narrow section I was talking about, and there really is just no margin for error. You can see what I mean by that parallel to Baku. It's like 4 corners, like that Baku Castle corner.
And it's just super narrow, and you really just follow the leader through there and so on. You know, my guess is they're going to be going green here within a couple of laps.
Yeah. So this is where it opens up, which is the Korean War Veterans Bridge, a famous bridge here in Nashville, and of course it's usually got the cars on it, so I'm sure the locals are quite excited to see speeds of 180 miles an hour over these bridges. But again, we look back to Dylan Archer in the FPEC sponsored onboard, and he's now going through that same section, biding his time, just getting up to speed. And I guess you're also doing a systems check yourself here. You've got to keep tires up to temperature. You've got to keep an eye on the temperature of the engine and try to keep sort of using these straights to keep everything cool.
Exactly. That's exactly what they're doing. They're just trying to do everything to, especially on a hot day like this, is to keep that engine and the oil, the water.
Doug Winston for the Fast Auto Racing team. Watching him, he's got some new sponsors. Bring back the trades. And a perennial member of this Trans Am fraternity. It's an unbelievable series, the longest road running series in the United States, started in '66. And some of the great names of motor racing, Al, have done Trans Am racing on their way up. Back in the day, of course, it was a time where even great international drivers would come over and you know, someone like Roger Penske throw them in and say, hey, I need you to win my race.
Absolutely. Trans Am has a long, successful history, and it's just great to see him on the streets of Nashville.
You know, and I think it's a good compliment for IndyCar, which is so different. And I noticed last year that a lot of the Nashville fans had never been this close to, you know, they can't all get up to Indianapolis. They can't always go, they may be able to go to a NASCAR race, but this is so different from being in the stands of a NASCAR race. You really are, with your face up against the fence, right with these guys.
You are. You're on top of all the action in these street courses, and that's what it's all about, you know. That's why they are successful throughout the country.
Well, we're looking at Scott Borchetta, and he's got what a juxtaposition. Scott Borchetta, I don't believe, started his career until, well, he did start as a karter when he was a kid, but professionally he hasn't started racing. And in front of him is a 14-year-old, 3 months, the youngest ever winner of both a Trans Am pole and a Trans Am race win at Road America last time out. Brent Cruz is a phenomenon. If you don't know that name, look it up. Look at his karting. Go to YouTube. I was watching him race last night on YouTube. He is a phenomenon, and at such a young age, I have to think that Scott Borchetta's eyeing this kid up as a potential for his NASCAR team in the future. But then there's a few others that think the same. We've gone to green again and down to 9 again. The car's spread out. It's 3 wide yet again, but 4 doesn't go. 3 doesn't go into 1. But somehow they make it happen. No crashes this time. Woo! Scott Borchetta, though, slightly engulfed by the rest of the field there. And I don't know if he was expecting that, but either way, he's lost a couple of places. But that's life in the fast lane, as through goes the 88 as well. So Borchetta losing place after place at the restart of this one. Not a good one for the man from Nashville, but he's not out of it yet by any means. But Borchetta right there in the thick of it, but it's the two youngsters now. Connor Mosack on the podium this time last year, as back he comes. I told you he'd be coming back right up the inside. Have that one. And Rafa Matos also in the thick of it. Through turns 1 and 2, very bumpy through there. I stood there yesterday, and it's easy to get the car slip sliding through there and lose it, not even pushing too hard.
Yeah, I'm sure you know that. Again, that's the challenges of a street circuit. You got to get those shocks working on your car the best possible way.
Yeah, and this is a real challenge compared to Indy. These are basic cars in terms of suspension and in terms of what they've got in terms of tools. And that's why we love it and we call it pure racing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that tire needs to stay on the ground for the traction. Shocks control that. They work together, the sidewall of the tire and the shock absorber. And so you got to keep them tuned in.
We're on board with Rafa Matos, currently in 5th position, coming over the bridge and down. This is where the controversial places is that bump straight off the bridge. It kind of unsettles the car, and everybody was worried about what gearing. And then this narrow, much narrower entry into 9, also a problem as we go back with Barry Bowes, who's further down the field. And Bowes, down in, I'm looking down, Roy, it's such a big field. Yeah, Bowes down in 36th position at the moment.
Isn't that just so great to have that many cars in a race? Is just beautiful to see.
I do have to laugh when they're talking to the engineer of Thomas Merrill and they're like, we don't know where Connor Mosack will. Paul Tracy up the inside.
He did.
He used that chrome bumper.
That's right.
Excellent stuff. Guy Cosmo, he's an interesting character. Of course, is well known in sports car and GT racing for many years. He's been a perennial member of the 24 Hours of Daytona and is a great racer coming in as Mike Skeen, obviously not doing the full season. He's doing IMSA as well as this championship, and Guy Cosmo coming in for Peterson to help with the run for Andretti and for, of course, Rafa Matos as we go back on board with Cameron Lawrence. Another factor, trying to see what he can do in this. He's not out of it by any means, Cameron Lawrence. He is in the top 10 in the championship at the moment. Hasn't had the luck so far. Has had previous luck, though, and has been a previous champion in the past. So we know Cameron Lawrence has got what it takes to be a champion. He just hasn't had the breaks in the last few races. Now, Connor Mosack starting to build now on that lead. And as you can see, Merrill back where he wants to be because he's got by Cruz.
Yeah,
so Thomas Merrill right where he needs to be. He's got ahead of Cruz. We missed it. But now it's Mosack, Merrill, Cruz, Zilic, Matos still 5th, and Borchetta did drop down to 6th place, having started 3rd.
Yeah, what's happening right now is they're just feeling out the car. Everything's getting up to temp. They're starting to just fill each other out too, as far as who and where are the weak points for the competitors to pounce on.
So Evan Slater's another one that we haven't talked about, Cube 3, and he had a bit of a wrist injury. He came off at 9 and banged the right-hand side of the car quite heavily. There was a worry that he might have broken or chipped a bone in his wrist, but he's come back, had a doctor look at it, had an x-ray, and he's A-OK, but he just said this morning it's a bit sore. And I would imagine trying to muscle one of these cars around, it could be a little sore.
It could be a little sore, that's right. But right now, honestly, with him out here driving, it's got to be super painful for him to even feel it right now because he's concentrating.
Yeah, and of course adrenaline takes over. There's a broken wing there by the looks of things to one of the cars there, you see. Broken wing ring. Now, how that's not going to make things up. Is that Thomas Merrill? Oh, I hope not.
I don't know who it is, but it's not helping him at all.
No, don't think it is Thomas Merrill. We're on board though with Dylan Archer. And looking further down the field, Ken Thwaites is up to 25th. He started somewhere down in 30th position. Maurice Hull there in 27th. He's got some new sponsorship. And on board with Ken Thwaites, trying to make his way through. Coming through 9 and back on the power. Up to 10, another tight right-hand left, a left-hander right, 90 degrees. And that's where they widened it just slightly. That was a bit of a tight corner before. But this first corner that you're coming up to here, just by the pit lane, is really hard for 2 reasons. One, it's tight, but it's also the pit exit. And that means it's very interesting watching them flow through there. Now, what is going on here? We've got some real trouble here on lap 12. That rear wing that we mentioned is definitely in a mess. I can see Ben in the background.
We got a.
Well, we're here at the number 26, Thomas Merrill with HP Tuners. His pits, he started out at pole, then went back to second place, and then looks like he got hit from the rear. The crew is trying to fix these uprights right here, but they've got to tape these brackets, and you can see the bending here. That was a really hard hit. And then, Logan, if you can come around here, our camera guy, you can even see it's buckled in the body here. So I don't know if they're going to be able to fix this, honestly, just from my eyes. I don't know if they're going to be able to safely fix this, and if Thomas is going to be able to go out there and run the kind of times that he has to run. We do have a very tight 110% rule here at the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. He's going to have to run a certain time. Now you can see Tim, our grid official, coming over just to make sure what they're doing looks safe. They're putting racer's tape around there. You can see a ball peen hammer here, but man, it does not look safe. Al Unser Jr., with all of your experience, would you go back out knowing what you know with this car?
Well, he's in the championship hunt here, so, you know, they're trying to get as many points as they possibly can. This is truly, truly unfortunate for his championship hopes.
Yeah, you know, and when I saw the rear wing, I didn't want to think it was Merrill because he suddenly went up to second and then dropped down to 6, and that's when we first saw a glimpse of that wing, so I presumed it was the other HP Tuners car, but of course it is Thomas Merrill, and that is the biggest story of the day as we go back on board with Scott Borchetta. My question, though, is I can only presume that he's come together with Cruz, because he just passed Brent Cruz, the youngster, and so the only man who could have hit him from behind would have been the third-place man, Brent Cruz. So how good is his car, I wonder?
We just don't know because we didn't see it. You know, he could have backed into a wall or touched something like that. So we just don't know until we
Well, Merrill is out, the man from Salinas, California. There's your leaders, Brent Cruz. Let's have a look at the car. He doesn't look as though he's slowed down any, and he's all over the back. As you can see, Merrill has got that wounded car out. In fact, the leaders are coming up on him as they both go over the bridge once Merrill is out. And Brent Cruz doesn't look as though he's picked up any real damage from that incident. And he's all over the back of Connor Mosack. Now, I wonder if Merrill will hold him up. Mosack doing everything he can to hold off. And these two both going for the Young Guns Championship, of course, as well. Connor Mosack leading that at the moment, but it's very, very tight in the points between them. And, of course, Cruz is also fighting for the Rookies Championship as well. So a lot to play for between these two. And also Borchetta now sort of bouncing back a little bit, back up to 4th after all the shenanigans. And Andretti still very much in the hunt as well. Andretti in 6th place, and ahead of him, Rafa Matos. Now, Rafa Matos and the three-dimensional services team now must be thinking to themselves, we've disposed of Merrill, not by our own merit, but we've got him out of the picture. Now we just need to work together to get Matos as high up this field and as close to a podium as possible, because that's what teamwork's all about. That's what Doug Peterson brought in Andretti and Cosmo and all the others to do, Skeen included, and that's to win titles, and that's what they've done up to now. And so it's kind of what they did. This was the game plan this time last year, and I'm sure it's the same again this year. Guy Cosmo in that plan as well.
Yeah, I was looking on the front end of those cars to see if I could see anything at all. I don't see anything of on the front end of those cars there.
Well, there's Tyler Casera. He is in 7th place at the moment, and behind him is the 89 of Guy Cosmo. So all of the three-dimensional services group cars are in the top 10, as is Cameron Lawrence. He's in 9th at the moment. Now we're on board with him now for the Franklin Road Apparel team. Showtime Motorsports. In fact, if you keep going across this bridge and keep going straight, Ken Thwaites tells me you'll hit the Road Apparel store and you can buy your trousers, whatever you want there. So that's a good idea.
Those yellow lights we just saw are local yellow. Now we're back to
green.
So,
yeah, I think that could be maybe somebody parked up but not in a dangerous situation. And it's really good that they've got this modern light system that you can do that. It also comes up on the dash as well. But a very useful thing to know that you can effectively isolate a position of danger and just let the drivers know what's going on. So here come the leaders, and they're starting to catch Merrill now, who's got that damaged wing but is still pedaling away. There he is. And now, well, what are they, 100 yards behind him? And they should catch him fairly quickly because he surely, I don't know, he can't be going normal speed now, can he?
No, the rear wing's not working the way that it was designed to do. So he's probably a little bit loose in the back end there. But what I was noticing was Cruz is really hounding the leader really bad.
Doug Winston in the fast auto car is in 30th position at the moment. His fastest lap, a 1:41.6. And now we've got a full course caution, so we've had another incident and we're back to caution again. Although, to be fair, it's been pretty clean so far. But this changes everything, certainly for Brent Cruz in second place. And there's Scott Borchetta in third now. And behind him is Andretti. And I wonder if Andretti and Matos will work together at the restart to get Matos ahead of Andretti. But that said, Andretti's racing for himself as well.
Yeah, I doubt that very seriously with what, 3 events left? 4 events left?
Yeah. Four including this one, yeah.
Including this one. So we're still a long ways away from that championship. So, he's out there. I think Adam is just going to do the best he can to finish where he's at, for sure.
Yeah, we take a break of a couple of weeks, then we go to Watkins Glen, then a few weeks after that, it's VIR, and then the season rounds out in November at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas.
Yep.
Well, as you can see, we're under caution. Let's head down to the pits and join Ben Sissel for the latest.
Well, a lot of activity here as we see Darren Mott come into the pits for the 3rd time. Now he's going back into the paddock. Unfortunate for the number 51 of Darren Mock. But you can see John Mills is out here setting up for rain. He's got the wet tires coming in. We have a lot of cloud cover. Are they showing rain coming, John?
There's a little bit, but, who knows? We're just going to be ready for whatever it gives us. So.
And as somebody that lives in Nashville, you never know. It can be sunshine and raining hard. And it could hit one part of the track and not the other. But you can see through the pits, it's been going kind of crazy. Everybody's getting ready to put reins on. And I've been told that the 3-Dimensional Services Group has been practicing pit stops and tire changes. So we expect them to do it really fast. Gentlemen, back to you.
Good stuff, Ben, as always. And this is always tough. Adam Andretti. He's a big fan of Scott Borchetta and has been really impressed with the way Scott has driven. But, hey, this is racing. Now you want to beat him.
Yeah, that's right. Now it's time to go racing, for sure. Yep.
And just for those who haven't, we keep talking big machine, and it's good that we do. But let's just put something in perspective, Al. And I'd like to get, as a driver coach these days, I'd like to get your perspective on this. Here's a guy who made us fortune in the music business here in Nashville, Tennessee. And for want of a better word, Tim McGraw, one of his on his label this weekend, is playing tonight, as are many others. But he discovered Taylor Swift. That's the long and short of it.
Yep.
And his record label has gone through the stratosphere.
Yep.
He's now got his own bourbon, his own vodka, and he puts on these events. He's a racing driver, and he's got the time now to go racing. But he has, in the last decade, gone sim racing, gone schooling. He's had coaches, and here he is in the thick of it at a race. He's sponsoring it, and he's not in 28th place. He's at the sharp end looking for the podium. That's pretty impressive.
What that tells me is he's always been a race car driver first. That's it. That's what he's been. So he had to go make a living, do his thing, which he was super highly successful at. And so now he gets to do his true love, his real love, by getting in these cars and going out and racing. And obviously, he loves it. He's put the hard work, the dedication, desire to win. You can't teach that. That comes from within yourself. Scott definitely has it, and he's being successful at that.
Well, listen, we're going to take a short break, but after the break, I'm going to tell you another little story about Scott Borchetta, who started his karting days with a certain lightning flash from Johnny Lightning on his go-kart. So we'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the music city that is Nashville, Tennessee. Doug Winston being lifted away, hoisted away. Sadly, we are under caution at the moment in the Big Machine Vodka Spite Cooler Challenge presented by Race for RP. And we've had two major cautions, but just before the break, we were talking about a certain Scott Borchetta who sent me a lovely little picture of him racing his go-karts at the age of 6. Mm-hmm. And he had a Johnny Lightning flash, and it's always been part of it. Explain what that means.
Well, he was from Southern California, okay? And so he fell in love with Dad's Johnny Lightning car in 1970, which I did too. It inspired me to go do what I did in racing. And Scott, he's been an Unser fan his entire life. Loved Uncle Bobby, loved my dad. Then when I came up, he was a fan of mine and so on. And he just fell in love with racing at that time as a 7, 8, 9-year-old kid, just like I did. And so, he's got a lot of my dad's uniforms, helmets, Uncle Bobby's uniforms and helmets. Just a super, super nice guy, just super collector too.
17 laps gone. It's Mosak, Cruz, and Borchetta. Andretti, Matos, Casera. Lawrence in 8th position, Lostowski in 9th. Barco is in 10th position. Then it's Slater, Noaker, Rydquist up to 13th. Peacock going forward as well. Solowich in 15th position. And we're still under caution. The clouds coming in, but again, we'll put you back into the race engineer role a little bit. What would you be telling your driver at this point? Stay calm, obviously, but also, what's the game plan if you're, let's say, a Tyler Casera looking for a top 6 position? Because a good finish here with Merrill out could help the whole championship for a lot of guys hunting for points.
Actually, as you've seen from what running up front and in the back, drivers are making mistakes when they start getting into some racing incidents here. There's no room for error on a street circuit, so you're just out there. What I would be telling him, just run the laps. You're doing good. Just keep doing what you're doing and let it all unfold and let the race come to you instead of going and getting it, because we're only on lap 18, so there's a lot of race left in front of us.
How does the car change? We talked a little bit about this at Mid-Ohio, but when you're slinging a big piece of metal around a road circuit, a street circuit, and the fuel load goes a little lighter. The tires start to go off a bit. You've got other rubber out there from other championships. Are you worried about the car kind of drifting a little bit too far compared to what it might have done 10 laps before?
Not really. What's really going on is the tires are losing a little bit of grip and so on. And so as long as the car's balanced, when I say that the front is stuck with the rear and it's balanced, then it's going to go off together. If by chance you started with an understeer, that understeer may get worse, or an oversteer, that oversteer may get worse. If that's the case, then you have to start changing your line a little bit so that you don't make it go off sooner than or worse than what you should. So
18 laps have gone in the Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers Challenge, and we're under caution at the moment. Barry Bowes has been in and out. It's been an interesting day for him so far. He got involved in an accident with Rafa Matos in first practice, and then we saw him just after the first lap with damage to the rear of the car, and it looked like a puncture to me, but he got in and got out again, and that's probably why he's able to continue now, and we stay on board with him now, and the ASIO data on board. And Bowes has been in TA2 now for quite some time. Another Texas man, as is Elias Anderson. And so there's your leader, Scott Borchetta, with 2 three-dimensional services. Tyler Casera split, and then just behind him, Guy Cosmo. I'm looking for who could come through this field and do something different. Andretti's one I'm looking at. Casera, definitely. Cameron Lawrence in 8th position at the moment. Scott Borchetta obviously would love to beat the new phenom that is Brent Cruz. He's got nothing to lose to Scott Borchetta. He's had, in fact, 3 top 10 finishes. He's been on good form in the last year. But I tell you what, he would love nothing more than a podium in this race, the race that he has put his company name to. And it would just be a fitting accolade to bring motor racing to Nashville, let the fans enjoy what he has loved, as you've just mentioned, Al, all his life, and just share his passion and allow the city of Nashville not only to love its music and its nightlife, but also going to the rhythm of a new track. The track that is this track over the River Cumberland. And there's all sorts going on through the weekend, including IndyCar and Indy Lights. So it's a big weekend, a festival with fireworks and bands playing all over the town. A real buzz of anticipation.
Yeah, the one thing I was noticing is it's Thomas Merrill. He's down 1 lap. He's got a long road to haul to get back up there to fight for some points.
Yeah, it's a tough hole from there, isn't it?
But
and
he's out there.
He is there.
And he's out there.
Oh.
So we'll see.
And you know what? I did Macau for many a year, and I never say never. I've seen 30-car pilots.
That's right.
And suddenly the guy in 20th place is like leading the race going, what did I do?
That's what racing's all about. It's not over till the checkered flag.
I'll tell you one thing we haven't talked about. We've talked about the heavyweights, and we briefly talked about Conor Mosak and Brent Cruz, at the opening. But there's a rivalry that's starting to form. Conor Mosak is seen as a future star, without a doubt. He's 23. Mm-hmm. He's been noticed by the ranks of NASCAR. But you can't take anything away from Brent Cruz. He's a Toyota Junior as it stands, and yet if you look at the car, he's got Trackhouse all over the car, and of course Justin Marks is the team owner of that and raced in this race to 4th place last year, so they've got their druthers on him too.
It's just fantastic. The future for these 2 young drivers is so bright, it's blinding.
All right, let's head down to Ben Sissel while we're under caution again. I think he's with the Mike Cope team and Rebecca from that team.
Well, you guys are not going to believe this. I'm with Rebecca here with Mike Cope Racing Cars. After all that fixing with Thomas Merrill and the uprights on his wing and a ratchet strap, first time I've seen that, how's he doing out there?
I mean, it's still running pretty good, but we just got to see how we get through the traffic and see what we can make up. It's about collecting every little point you can at this point,
But now what Rebecca failed to mention is he went back out there and did the fastest time of that lap with the ratchet straps and all that, I guess, disturbance in the air, if you call it that. So Thomas Merrill is quite a beast. You got to watch out for him.
Okay then, we've gone green again, and we're racing here in Nashville. Side by side, Brent Cruz looks for the inside moves, but thinks better of it. And Connor Mosack holds on to first place, but now here comes Scott Borchetta. We're on board with him. He's got the youngest man in the field, but the winner of the last race, and he gets overtaken. Nicely done by Adam Andretti. Yep. But now back comes Borchetta. Great racing side by side. The left-hander, Borchetta, will have the advantage and goes back into third. And Adam Andretti says, oh, I thought I got that one.
That's great racing right there. Great racing.
Respect between these two, and Adam is a fair racer if ever I've known one. And he'll be miffed that he got overtaken, but he'll be back. Good racing between these two, and the next opportunity for Andretti is at the other end of this bridge. If he gets a little slipstream here, he may be able to have another pop at Borchetta on the exit of this bridge coming up in about 3 seconds from now. Here we go. No, he's not quite close enough, and they'll go into this literally single file section through here. Side by side, but Connor Mosack leads from Brent Cruz. Cruz did look for an inside move a la Mosack, which is how Mosack got the lead on the first lap, but then thought, no, I'm not going to squeeze through there, and he's going to squeeze me out. Guy Cosmos just behind that battle we were just looking at, and he's got Casera in front of him. Tyler Casera, the man from PA, looking for a good result. Very much still in the hunt for the title too. He's been the unmentioned man in terms of the title chase just because he hasn't been winning and getting podiums every weekend, but he's been doing consistent racing throughout the season, and he's very much still there with these 4 rounds to go. Yeah, 22 minutes and 10 seconds to go, and you quite rightly point me to that, Al, because that's the factor that we've got to be aware of now. With 2 major cautions like we've had, suddenly we're now down to a timed race.
Yeah, I think we're on a timed race. That's what I was asking you earlier when we were in commercial. Where is that at? And because I was starting to think about it, these long cautions we're gonna trip us up. Now again, that's the engineer in me going, okay, now we're on a timed race. It's not about laps anymore. It's about time. It's go time. It's go time.
Yeah, it really is go time, because another caution will just take more chunks of time out of the race.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, if you're going to make a move, you've got to do it now, because you know the clock is ticking. Every lap, 137, 132, that's where we're averaging between those 2 gaps. And so, that's not a lot of laps.
No.
And you're certainly not going to get 22 in.
There's not a lot of time left now. I mean, every moment counts. So you got to go up and just start getting as many positions as you can, without risking too much, because you still need to finish.
Yeah.
You got to finish. So I think that's what Rafa's thinking about right now, is just get to the end, nice and clean, bring it home, and get some points, especially that you've had that problems with Thomas.
On board with Rafa Matos, and you can see on the V-Box there the throttle and the brake, and you can also see his hands working. I love to watch a racing driver's hands. It gives you an indication of how much he's fighting the car. Now, Carl Reichquist had a good day yesterday, but it sounds like he's been doing a bit of two-stepping here on the streets of Nashville. And here is Carl Reichquist, number 80.
He drove it in there a little hard.
Yeah. And, well...
Oh, look at this.
He'll get points for his pirouettes, but sadly in motor racing, that doesn't count. Now, here comes Brent Cruz as they go over the Cumberland River. Now, has he got a chance to pop out of him? He's got on the outside run, and Mosack does good defensive driving, and he kind of just defended that nicely, didn't he? He knew it was coming.
Mosack is watching his mirror as much as he's watching in front of him right now. Brent Cruz is really getting on him.
You know, I sat last night and watched Brent Cruz do kart races. He had a great GoPro, and he was in about 7th place for about 40 minutes, and I was like, this is kind of boring. But then suddenly, he started picking guys off, and I was just out. You know, he was doing just what he's doing right now. He was just hounding the guy in front, either forcing him into a mistake or saying, if you do one thing wrong, I'm coming.
I think you'll see another defensive.
Here he comes.
Oh, look at that. Got him.
Back at you, Mosak. Anything you can do, I can do maybe a little bit cleaner. So, Brent Cruz takes the lead of this race. The winner of Road America is now leading here in Nashville. Could he get back-to-back wins? That's his plan. You know, we did an interview with him yesterday, and he was kind of working out the problems he'd had over the season. And he kind of looked up and said, you know, if I didn't do this at Sebring and I hadn't had that mechanical problem here, I'd probably be leading the championship right now. And that's a really good way of thinking as a racing driver.
That's right. He just, what I've seen out of Brent here is patience. He's had patience, and then it turned into a time race.
Boom.
They'd let him know it was go time.
Yep. Absolutely, yep. And he's got the lead away from Conor Mosak. Sadly, this was Adrian Lostowski. He was in the top 10 a moment ago, but as you can see, he's in the pits, and he's dropping down significantly. So, a la Merrill, he's got his own problems, and they're not looking as though they've solved anything. I can't hear what they're saying, but I can see the body language is very much, oh dear.
That's a shame.
Now, Casera's all over the back of Matos now. Cosmo behind him. And then Cameron Lawrence. So it's Cruz, Mosak, Borchetta, Andretti, Matos, Casera. And you know, Matos might be thinking to himself, you know, I'd like to have a pop at Andretti before this is all over, give me some more points. But as you can see, the field's spreading out now. And the last man through there, that's Cameron Lawrence now in 8th position. We're on board with him now as he exits the bridge and goes into the very tight 4, 5, 6, and 7 sector.
I'm sure the team has let Rafa know where Thomas Merrill is and the point system. So I think he's just, you know, I'm just going to get this thing home. You know, we gave it our best shot over the weekend, and we qualified and so on. We weren't up in the front. So let's get as many points as we can and go to the next event and win that one.
Well, as we've been mentioning, Brent Cruz, the phenom of the series, the youngest ever Trans Am winner at 14 years of age. He got a dispensation to race in midget cars earlier in the year. He won there, and now he's winning in Trans Am. He's won in karting all over the world. Nitro Motorsports is who he works for. Let's hear from them. Let's go down to Ben Sissel now for the latest on what's happening with our leader, Brent Cruz.
Well, I'm here with Nitro Motorsports, so let me interrupt you real quick. What is Brent Cruz, who just took the lead, saying on the radio?
Says the car's pretty good. He's just pacing himself and waiting to see how we do here. Crew Chief Nick Tucker's doing a great job. We got our everything's going good. Can't really complain.
Nice. And let's get a shot here. We've got IndyCar steward, IndyCar legend, Max Pappas out here. Now, Max, when are we going to get you in a TA2 car?
Anytime. I'm actually, looking over Brent. He's doing such a good job. Him and Connor Zellick, they're really doing great. It's amazing, what a young guy can do here. And kudos to all of you guys here in Trans Am. It's special.
Max Pappas from IndyCar. Gentlemen, back to you.
Well, that gave a little Al a wry smile. How about, I'd like to see him in a TA2 car.
I would love to see Mad Max out there. It'd be a heck of a show.
He's got the name for it, Mad Max.
He does. He does.
Well, obviously, a lot of the racing community starting to look at Brent Cruz. He's got Trackhouse Mustang colors today. A la Justin Marks and the Trackhouse team, already winners this season in NASCAR. He's part of the Toyota Junior Development Series. He works out at the factory week in and week out, but he is earmarked for big-time racing. Adam Andretti looks as though he's got a problem. He's parked up. He's going nowhere. And unless his camera's stuck, I think he is, well, I don't know. It could be just a frozen camera. Well, we'll get up to date on that, but either way, could be a problem for Andretti. We'll find out.
No, Adam's out there. He's still running.
Okay, good.
Yep, there he is.
It's just a frozen camera, huh?
Yep, there he is.
Yeah, it was just an onboard camera issue, but it looked like he was parked up. Don't scare me like that. 14 minutes to go. On board with Rafa Matos. could turn out to be these are the days where you start to think back when you get to COTA and the award ceremonies. This is where I won the championship because I kept a cool head while others were falling apart. It's the old Rudyard Kipling poem. Keep your head when those around you are losing theirs. And that's exactly what Matos is doing. Matos has got his Indy ties as well. Had a good, strong Indy career, both in lights and IndyCar. And I'm sure he probably raced against Max Pappas in his day.
Yeah, I think Rafa's just doing a super job here with the big picture. Looking at the big picture. We've got races left. Thomas is my main contender in the points championship, has had a bad day. Let's get what we can here today, and then let's get to the next race.
And I'll tell you what, Brent Cruz is not happy with one win at Road America. He's not happy with back-to-back wins at Nashville. He wants to be the fastest out there. He's just done the fastest lap at 1:31.9. This kid is on fire. And try as he might, Borchetta could be on for a podium, but I don't think he can challenge Brent Cruz today.
No, not today. Not today. Scott's doing a heck of a job. I'm really proud of him. I'd love to see him get a podium.
Yeah, and you know what? He must be smiling from ear to ear to say that he and his brother and his wife have been such a huge part in putting this event together over the last 3 or 4 years. It takes a long time, and you know this, to put a racetrack together. Here's that Brent Cruz. Well, that's him going past one of the back markers there, but you can see Mosak's really not that far away, but he's got to get the shimmy on if he's going to catch up with 12 minutes to go. But the trouble is, if Cruz keeps putting in fastest laps, to give you an example, last time round, 32.4, Conor Mosak, 32.2, so Mosak's not gone out of it, just 0.2 quicker last time out, and you can see he's within touch. If you were in second place, Al, how would you go about trying to stop Cruz at this point?
Well, I did my best to stay in front of him, okay,
Yep.
and then he passed me, and so now I'm just trying to see if there's any weak spot in his lap at all to where I could capitalize on that, and it doesn't appear to be because he's still inching away ever so slowly.
Car 11 in trouble. He too spinning out of this particular race here in Nashville. Well, they're pretty good at the two-step here, and a little bit of country western dancing there, and backwards he goes.
And hopefully that was just a local yellow.
Yeah. That was Mark Austin in trouble there. He's got the Joker helmet, and sadly, the joke's on him on that one anyway, because not where you want to be, the wrong way round on this track. Let's hope he doesn't cause a caution. Well, Scott Borchetta's got some breathing room now in third place. That's good for him. First time I've really noticed just how much time he's built up. And while he's not challenging Mosak and Cruz, he's in a really strong position to hold on to third place as we go back with Rafa Matos, who's got his teammate Adam Andretti ahead of him. But I agree with you, Al. Although Matos is going for the title, Andretti's had a pretty tough season, and I think just to get a decent result out of this one would be what he's planning on. He's raced hard, and he may still have another pop at Borchetta before this is all over, but that's how we run at the moment. And Rafa Matos is about, what, 3 car lengths away?
Yep, absolutely. His last name is Andretti.
Yeah.
He's going to go for it all the way,
well,
the whole race.
He's got an audience here. Michael's here, of course, and I saw Mario doing the Legends earlier in this weekend, so the whole family's here.
Adam is not going to slow down until the checkered comes out.
No.
He's out to get that podium that's right in front of him.
Yeah.
So he's going to do everything he can to catch him.
Well, they do support each other. Last time I spoke to Adam, he was at the SRX supporting Marco. So, they stick together, and then they all went on holiday, did a bit of fishing. And, so the Andrettis, I'm sure, like the Unzers, stick together as a family, and a race family, that's how they live. And they're all very much watching out for each other. On board again with Barry Bowes. He's recovered well as Barry.
Yeah, so we've got
Bowes down in 28th position.
Under 10 minutes now remaining. There's no threat of rain whatsoever. Go out there and run the laps and get this one in the books.
Well, look at the way Brent is pulling away from the man behind him, Conor Mosak. And, the trouble for Mosak is that he's running out of laps now to do anything against Brent Cruz. No damage, as you say, to the front of the car. And I'm wondering now more about that incident with Merrill, because it's a strange one, because you'd presume that if anybody hit... Oh, that's another one, and it's one of the Franklin Road that has gone off-road, and it is the number 4, sadly. And that is a big hit. That surely must bring out a full caution.
Okay.
And that is Ken Thwaites.
So that changes the strategy now. Now you're thinking about, we've got the end of the race coming up. This restart is the most important restart of all day.
Yep.
Right here coming up. So.
Well, he's plonked it nastily into the wall there. That's on the exit, I think, of 2, I want to say. Yeah.
It's going out onto the bridge.
Yeah, it's going out towards the bridge. So I was saying that was a very tricky part of the track, which is once you get a little loose there, it's easy to do that. It's not a place where you're going to be putting the power down that heavily.
Again, this is a street circuit. This is what the results of a street circuit are. Had that been at a permanent road course, chances are it has spun off in the grass or a gravel pit and drove right back on and nothing happened. Here, now he's out of the race with car damage.
Well, listen, as we're under caution again, Al Unser Jr. and Jonathan Green bringing you the action, but we're getting down to the business end here in Nashville, Tennessee. The music is playing loud. We'll take a short break. We'll be back after this.
It's hard to put into words what relapsing polychondritis is. It's just devastating. That's what it is. It's devastating.
I think a lot of patients struggle with what is the cause of their disease.
It's really important for us to get the word out there and show that there is research that is being done and things are being advanced.
As a community, we can do a ton of good by gaining even more support for our research and more support for these initiatives to better diagnose patients, to find better treatments.
Only good things are going to happen from this. It gives us hope.
So, as you can see, Ken Thwaites, sadly, is okay, and he's talking to his engineers, but he's stuck in the wall, which gives us a chance to join Ben Sissel again, as we're under caution here in the Music City.
Well, thank you, guys. I'm here with Gary Seelig, crew chief of Franklin Road. Ken Thwaites, I saw the shot. He hit the wall. Did he tell you what happened?
Yeah, this place is really hard on brakes, and we knew it was going to be a brake war coming here. And the brakes started fading on him, so he's trying to roll the corners better, and it just got away from him rolling that corner and got into the wall a little bit, and then came back around and got the front. But the car was strong, and we'll be back next year, Franklin Road.
Well, that's Gary Seelig. Now, those walls, they're 9,600 pounds apiece, and we saw that they moved a little bit. We hope Ken's okay. Gentlemen, back to you.
Yep. I'm sure knowing Ken, I heard him talking to his engineer just a moment ago, so he's stuck there. But the problem is, as you can imagine, he's stuck against the wall, so he can't actually get out of the car if he wanted to, because the door won't move. He might be able to move it slightly, but he's probably just better sitting there, and that's exactly what they decided to do. Now, what they'll try to do is they'll bring a takeaway truck and drag him backwards, because the pit lane is only, 100 yards from where he is. So it won't take long to extract him, but I'm just wondering how long it will take. This is all playing into the hands of Scott Borchetta, of course, in third position. So let's just give you a quick rundown. It's this man, Brent Cruz, coming at you now in the all-blue Trackhouse car. Connor Mosack still second. Scott Borchetta, after 31 laps, is in third. And Adam Andretti is holding off his teammate, Rafa Matos, in the top 5. Tyler Casera for the Liqui Moly 77 car is in 6th position. Guy Cosmo, also for the three-dimensional services group Ford Mustang, he's in 7th. And then Brett Barker, former Rookie of the Year, he's in 8th position in one of the few Dodge Challengers out there, the Baku Berryman Napa MPEG car. And then Misha Goikberg, who had problems right at the start, has managed to get up to 9th position. That's a pretty impressive run by the BC Cars Canadian. Not bad at all. And Evan Slater, hats off to him. He had an injury yesterday, and he's managing to hang out in the top 10. And, of course, he's fighting for those Young Guns honours, as is Robert Noacre. But he's missed a few rounds as Robert, but has come back here for Nashville. So all to play for as we go back on with Barry Bowes. 31 laps gone, but we're less worried about the laps and more about the time. And time is ticking down at the moment. So it's really a case of, will they get Ken Thwaites' car out of the way before we draw this to a close? But it would be a really interesting result, because Cruz and Mosak are the men most likely to challenge both Merrill and Matos. Now, Matos is in the top 5. He'll be okay with that. Merrill will be furious because all the impetus of their 182-point lead that they both had will be kind of dissipated. And with 3 rounds to go, Watkins Glen coming up in a few weeks, and then VIR and Circuit of the Americas in November in Austin, Texas, of course. So Brent Cruz certainly feels that he can have a go and have a pop at this championship. Thomas Merrill, just in case you were wondering, is up there in 26th position, but he's a lap down. So sadly, he is not going to pick up anything from this race, really. So in terms of doing anything that would make a needle move, I'd love to have that house there. That'd be a good view. And Thomas Merrill, of course, first in the championship, start of the day, 2 race wins, 6 podiums, and that's where he's had the advantage over Matos. Is he's just had more podiums, and his consistency has just been a little bit better than Rafa's. And so today will be a real blow to Thomas Merrill. And speaking to him yesterday, he was full of confidence. Man who started out in Salinas, California. His parents were part of the Porsche club there, and he used to go with his mum, and she'd take him out around the track when he was a little nipper, him and his brother. And he got the bug, and he's been doing it ever since. And he's a big popular driver on the West Coast, has won the West Coast Championship in the past, but never a national championship. So this means a lot to Merrill. Of course, Rafa Matos, 2 titles under his belt. So here we see, there's that truck I was talking about. And Al, what do you think? Do you think we'll get racing again?
Well, I sure hope so. You know, that's what I'm worried about. I'm looking at the time left. It's right at the 2-minute mark. I'd sure hope they get that wrecker and get that car off of there so that we could at least have a green finish to this race.
Well, David Hoots is our race director. He's got over 30-plus years in NASCAR race direction, and he's come to us in the last couple of years, and he's quite an authority. He, like all race directors, wants to see a green finish, but it's not always possible, and nobody wants to see what happened in Formula One's Abu Dhabi Cup last year.
Well, hey, that's what I was just thinking. The race director's got to be yelling at those guys, hurry up, hurry up. Yeah. Let's get this day cleaned up, and let's get back to green flag racing for the end of this race.
Big points for Andretti and Matos. Casera will pick up some good points as well. Cosmo 7th, Barco 8th. These are all good results. Goikhberg is the one that surprised me. He was in the wall at the beginning of the day. Look at him up there in 9th position. Cameron Lawrence drops down to 12th, having been up as high as 8th at one point. And Doug Peterson's come through right through the field, up to 15th position. He, of course, the team owner. This is the final lap. So, sadly, Al Unser Jr., we're going to finish under caution, but what a result for this kid.
What a
back-to-back Trans Am
Absolutely. And he went out there and earned it. He was smart right from the get-go, took his time, had patience, made his move when he needed to, and now he's going to get the checkers. This is just fantastic.
Well, at the start of the day, he was 38 points behind in 4th position. Conor Mosak was the man ahead of him by 4 points. He's going to go equal, if not ahead of Conor Mosak for 3rd in the championship. And he and Conor Mosak will now be vying against Thomas Merrill and Rafa Matos for the title. Well, you may not like the finish you're seeing right now, but I am licking my lips in anticipation for the last 3 rounds of Trans Am 2022, because we have a 4-way battle for the championship with 2 young guns and 2 very experienced men who equally want the title as much.
This just totally blew it wide open as far as who's going to bring home that final trophy for the championship.
I cannot underline, I hope Indy's watching.
There it
There's the
is.
checkered flag, and the youngest man in the field at just 14 years of age wins in a packed field of over 40 drivers with huge experience, and he takes it in his stride. I remember asking him before the Mid-Ohio race, how do you feel you'll be going today, Brent? And he said, I'm going to be a problem for everybody out there. And I have remembered those words ever since, because that's exactly what he's doing.
That is what he's doing. He's just one smart driver. He just has the patience and then goes when it's go time. I just congratulate him. Also, Scott Bruschetta, congratulate him for a podium finish. He's going to, in his own hometown. I think it's great.
Mosak was on the podium last year. We expected that. He made an audacious move, and we'll be seeing whether actually that sticks, because that could be still under investigation. But the other big story, if the youngest man in the field, well, not the oldest, but certainly the man with the most to gain by putting the event on, by being the sponsor, by putting his company name to it, has now walked the walk, talked the talk, and driven the race of his career. Scott Bruschetta, welcome to the fraternity that is motor racing. You have always been part of that fraternity, but when the likes of Rafa Matos and Alan De Jr. and Max Pappas are watching on, and the whole world of motor racing see what you can achieve, well done, my friend.
That's so true. Congratulations, Scott.
Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers. What a day. What a day. I think he can relax and have a wry smile to himself. Well, his wife started the race, and he certainly finished it.
Well done. I mean, everybody, well done. They did a great job. It was just a great race right from the very start. Showed everything that racing has to offer. Good wheel-to-wheel racing. If you make a mistake, you're going to get damaged. You're going to be put away in behind the pit wall. And so, young driver coming up, doing a superb job. This is what it's all about.
Yeah, shout out to Adam Andretti as well. Another good job done by him, defeating Rafa Matos. That's been rare this season, and he's been looking for a decent result, and finally picked up something here in Nashville. So into the pit lane they come, and while it doesn't finish on the explosive end that we wanted, it's still a fantastic headline story. Back-to-back wins for the youngest man in the history of Trans Am, which has been going on since 1966. And I think that Mark Donohue and the likes of the greats over the years would look at that and say, yep, welcome aboard. Welcome to Trans Am, youngster. And he's racing in all sorts of championships. It's not just this. He does all sorts. And he's being noticed. There's no question about it. And I do think there's quite a few Indy teams probably taking a look at him.
Absolutely.
I jokingly said to him last night while I was watching practice, and Joseph Newgarden was the fastest American out there in 5th place. I said, come on, Brett, we need you out there.
Hey, IndyCar teams, all teams, NASCAR teams, 14 years old, and he's doing this.
Yeah.
He's being noticed, I promise you, by the best owners and sponsors out there. Yep.
I wonder what you say when you go to school and you sit there and the math class going, what do you do this weekend? I won the Nashville road race on the streets of Nashville, of course.
It puts you in a real weird position, I got to tell you. I was a sophomore in high school winning sprint car races, and you go back to school and you kind of go, really? Really? What's this about? And so...
but I guess it helps getting a date to the prom.
Absolutely.
Well, the Trackhouse Colours have done it, and Justin Marks, who got 4th place last year, and the colours of his team have now taken the win here in Music City. The helmet will come off in a moment, and it's been a real family affair for the Cruisers. They've put this kid through his paces, and yep, a little fist bump, and now you see the smile.
Yeah, look at that
Still
smile.
got the braces on, but it doesn't matter. He's a winner, and he's as good as anybody out there right now. He's lost a bit of fluid, and we'll hear from him in a moment as he joins Ben Sissel for his post-race interview.
Come on, Brett. All right, 2 in a row. Brent Cruz This is unbelievable. What a performance. We were driving around a couple days ago on a golf cart. You've never been in a street race like this, and now you showed everybody how it's done. How does it feel?
I just want to thank the Lord. None of this would be possible without him, just making me a better man every day and trying to follow the footsteps of him. I just want to thank my whole family, my dad, my mom. None of this would be possible without him. They provide everything for me, and I just want to say thank you to this whole crew, Nitro Motorsports, everybody along this. Trackhouse, Justin Marks for all they do for me, just a big supporter, and I just want to say thank you to everybody along this crew, man. They just work so hard day in and day out. We struggled a little bit in the beginning of the weekend, and they just kept working, and we never stopped, and here we are.
Nice. Brent Cruz, and we heard Al Unser Jr. say a lot of eyes on Brent Cruz. We see Max Pappas down here congratulating him. Brent Cruz, you keep impressing us every time, man. Nice job. Unbelievable. Now we're going to come back to Connor Mosack. Logan.
We're not going to get Borchetta?
Plenty of action, fast and furious through the streets of Nashville. Misha Goikberg getting into an incident early on, but recovers to a top 10 finish. And around went Carl Rydquist in a spin and bin, but out front. Brent Cruz was taking it to Connor Mosack, finally passing Mosack, where Mosack overtook him at the start of the race. But from there on in, it was, well, a cruise, quite literally. Well, Tom Cruise is a Top Gun, but we've got our own in Brent Cruz. No question about it. A brilliant, brilliant result for a man racing his first ever street race. Think about that, folks.
Yeah, 14 years old. It's awesome.
So let's take a look on the results then of the Big Machine Vodka Spike Cooler Challenge presented by Race for RP. Brent Cruz with the win for the Nitro Motorsports Ford Mustang. Connor Mosack second. Scott Borchetta in third position. Adam Andretti in fourth for the three-dimensional services group. And likewise his teammate Rafa Matos, the championship leader, in fifth. Tyler Casera, healthy sixth place for the Liqui Moly Turn 14 distribution Chevrolet. And Guy Cosmo taking seventh. Rhett Barco in eighth. Misha Goikberg, great recovery from ninth with that damaged BC race car. And Evan Slater rounding out the top 10 for the Cube 3 Architecture Ford Mustang. And then further down, Robert Noacre coming back into the fold and gets a healthy point score there. Cameron Lawrence in 12th, William Solowich in 13th, then David Boudris in 14th, Peterson 15th, Elias Anderson from Texas 16th, Michelle Abate from Las Vegas, Nevada takes 17th place, Jim Gallagher 18th for Waypoint, and Chris Leesfield coming in again for Fields Racing in M1 race cars this weekend as he did last year is in 19th, Ricky Sanders in 20th. And Bruce Raymond taking 21st, Patrick Paul in 22nd. Carl Rydquist after that spin recovered to 23rd. Danny Lowry also got in trouble, 24th. Thomas Merrill, as you can see there, a lap down, sadly. That's the real sad story of the weekend because Thomas Merrill had pretty much topped the times throughout every session and then sadly got damage to the rear of his car and got a lap down when he had to repair it. Mark Austin, 26th. Barry Bowes, 27th. William Moore, Ty Young, and Ken Thwaites ended his day in the wall at turn 2. Morris Hull, Lostowski, Pecoy, Winston, Zilich, Archer, Mock, Sheehan, and Race Liberati making his debut. Sadly, not what he wanted in the end. Was going to be classified as 39th. Chad Christensen did not take the start line start. We'll take a short break. We'll be back for more from Nashville after this.
If your tooling isn't quite ready and you need parts, and you need more parts than just a few, or if your run is just not that big, look to the experts in low-volume production, three-dimensional services. Whether it's 10, 100, or 1,000 parts, we can meet your needs. And if it's 10,000, we can do that too. Three-dimensional services delivers high-quality parts for short runs. 70% faster than industry standards. Three-dimensional services. Prototype, production, proven.
At Ryan, we seek to understand our clients' unique business needs and offer insights from over 75 years of experience. Our menu of integrated services span the entire life cycle of your building, from financing and development to design and construction to property management and maintenance. We think like building owners because we are building owners, and we work hard to assure that your building stays functional and cost-effective for generations to come.
As you can tell, I like to go fast. Our race team is really well prepared. We like to look good, but we also like to dress good, and that's why we shop at Franklin Road Apparel. I own the company, and I wear the clothes that we sell in that store. So check us out. We carry all the top brands: Baldwin, John Barbados, Billy Reed, Goodman Brand, and on down the list. So come see us. Franklin Road Apparel, Franklin, Tennessee.
Friend, his best finish ever. The man responsible for this whole thing. This is like 15 years in the making. The best finish ever. Third place and first in Masters. Let's hear it. Scott Borchard! Dude, all right, a little pre-interview, but hold on. Let's just talk about the crowd. How cool is this, Scott? This has been your vision for like 2 decades.
Here we are in the streets of Nashville. How cool is this? The home of country music and the home of racing. Absolutely. You know, we've been working on this idea for so long, and we always thought, how cool would it be to race across the bridge? How cool would it be to run red lights legally? So I'm so honored. Thanks to all of you for being here. The weather gods have smiled upon us. And I hope all of you are having a great time. I hope you enjoy all this stuff. We have worked so hard just to make sure you had a great time. And also, too, for next year, let us know. We're going to keep making this better every year. So thank you.
In second place, an improvement from last year. A hard-fought second place, running for Team SLR. Let's hear it. Connor Mosak! Connor's racing with his new sponsor, Open Eyes. Frank Harrison out of North Carolina. He's also running in the Young Guns Unbelievable Driver with Team SLR. In first place, 2 in a row, the youngest competitor in TA2. Remember this name. You'll say, I met him in Nashville at the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Running with Trackhouse and Justin Marks this weekend. Let's hear it, Brett Cruz! All right, Scott, third place, best finish. You've been telling me for what, 2.5 years, I gotta get on the podium, I gotta get on the podium. So now I'm guessing you have a new goal.
Hey, we're so close to #1 now, right? Yeah, you know, this class, we drive against such great drivers. I mean, remember these 2 names, Connor Mosak and Brent Cruz, because you're going to see them move up to Xfinity, you're going to see them in Cup. For any of you hardcore race fans, you can say, I remember when I saw Chase Elliott do this, or I saw Jeff Gordon do that. You got to see these 2 guys rock it at the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. I'm telling you, these are 2 future stars of our sport, and it's an honor for me, this old guy, to be up here racing with the kids. So.
I love it. And not only that, but you're talking to future competition with the Big Machine Vodka Spike Cooler in Xfinity. This is probably your competition for the next 10 years. Yeah, he's too young is what he says. Connor Mosak, it's funny, you're on the podium here, and you seem disappointed by that. Watching your body language as we came across, I know you're super stoked on this crowd, but you seem to be disappointed not being in the middle.
Yeah, first I want to thank Mr. Borchetta and everybody who puts on this race. It's an unbelievable weekend. Thank my sponsors. Good to have Open Eyes on the car this weekend, Knocker Auto Trucks and Franklin Road Apparel. But yeah, it's tough to be this close to the win again this year. Led a lot of laps both years. Just fortunately couldn't get it done. Like to see the race in under green. Hopefully we can get that worked out. But overall, it's still a great weekend for us, and hopefully we can be back next year.
All right, Nashville, let's act like we've been to a rock concert before, okay? I say trans, you say amp, trans, trans. I say Nash, you say Ville, Nash, Nash. I say Brent, you say Cruz, Brent, Brent. Nice, see, I told you guys. Nashville is the place to be. Brent, take the mic, tell us about your race.
I just want to thank the Lord. None of this would be possible without him. All glory to the Lord. I want to thank Scott and everybody for putting on this amazing show and this amazing track. I just want to thank Justin Marks and Trackhouse for all they do for me, all the support. My dad and my mom, none of this would be possible without them either. Nitro Motorsports, man, we struggled in the beginning of the weekend, and they just never stop working, man, all night. They get up early, earliest ones here, and then they just keep on working, man, and they gave me the fastest race car, and here we are. Thank you, guys.
All right, hold on. Grab some swag, guys. Throw some of these hats out there. Come on, let's hear. Who wants a hat? We got some cool hats. We got Trans hats. Uh-oh. You threw away a hat for it. I pinched you. Sorry, Chris. I'll get him closer, though. That's my fault. Ladies and gentlemen, while they're doing this, I want to give a big shout out. Matt Cruz, Ruthie, Jason Rittenberry, the whole staff at the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. We've been talking about this for years. Let's hear it for the staff of the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. So cool, such an honor. And then to IndyCar, really, Roger Penske, everybody at the IndyCar Series, a big shout out to you guys. It is such an honor to be a part of this session, be a part of this event. So cool. Let's hear it for IndyCar, Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Awesome. All right, get together, guys. Come on now, let's have a celebration. They got their hats on. Let's hear it. Borchetta, Connor Mosak, and Brent Cruz. Unbelievable. Nashville, I love you guys, but I've been to concerts with you guys. You guys can get louder than that. We're filming this for TV, people. All right, so now Eric is passing out his Pirelli hats. Make sure you put your Pirelli hats. Hold those beautiful trophies up high. Come on, Nashville, let's get loud! The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Unbelievable names in racing up here. So cool, Nashville, you're living up to my hype. I love it, you're making me look good. All right. So, we have one that has a spirits company, so we know that he's of age. Big Machine Vodka Spike Cooler, double cooler, and I think even a diet cooler. Connor Mosak just became of age, and Brent Cruz is not of age, so he's getting the special water. Are we doing a little celebration here? Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that after the celebration. All right, let's hear it, guys. Come on now. Here we go. Make sure you get the right bottles to the right people. One more time, Nashville. Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. It is such another party here. Unbelievable, Nashville. I love you. Scott, how proud are you of your hometown? Look at this crowd. Are you proud of these guys? It's party. Come on, let's do it. Nice. Scott Borchetta is all about the party. Scott, thank you, Big Machine, all that you do. You're seeing like a display of everything Big Machine does up here today. All right, here we go. The chill out moment of the race. Connor Mosak. Let's bring Connor Mosak right up here into the center here, Connor. Come on up here. Let's hear it as he holds up the chill out systems, the Happy Gilmore check, the chill out move of the race, keeping him cool in his brand new race suit with open eyes. Chris, let's make sure we have... I won't leave until I get that okay from you, Chris. I've already made you mad enough. All right, a thumbs up from Chris. We got some more hats from Eric. I'll take it. Scott Borchetta with an arm. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I've got these fantastic timepieces Oma Legato makes. This is a Trans Am Oma Legato watch that goes to our fastest lap. Brent Cruz and Young Guns. Oma Legato. Brent Cruz can never be late to a driver's meeting because he's got about 6 of these things. Let's hear it for Brent Cruz. Brent, hold that watch up. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I would be remiss. I could say goodbye to you for now until next year, but let's bring up Scott Borchetta. He knows a little bit about show business, a little bit about promotion. Scott, close us out here with the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli at Big Machine Music City Grand Prix.
So you may not know this, but a couple of our brand new artists are in the crowd that you're going to be hearing about. Mackenzie Carpenter, Tiara Kennedy, they're in the house. Tim McGraw, he's a real bad boy, he's a real good man. That's happening tonight over at the main stage. Hey, thanks again, Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. I hope you had a great time. I hope you enjoyed the rest of the weekend. Thank you.
It's hard to put into words what relapsing polychondritis is. It's just devastating. That's what it is. It's devastating.
I think a lot of patients struggle with what is the cause of their disease.
It's really important for us to get the word out there and show that there is research that is being done and things are being advanced.
As a community, we can do a ton of good by gaining even more support for our research and more support for these initiatives to better diagnose patients, to find better treatments.
Only good things are going to happen from this. It gives us hope.
Hungry for SVRA action? Well, the best way to enjoy classic auto racing is with a delicious classic from Mission Foods. Green flag your race-watching snacks with Mission's mouth-watering race day recipes. Try some of our tasty tacos, piled high nachos, fresh chips with guac, and more. So gear up your ride and fuel up those stomachs with delicious Mission Foods. Now that's too fast, too tasty.